I'm Terry Busch. I'm with the Northshore Poetry Group, which meets at the Northshore Senior Center every Friday afternoon from usually 1 to about 2:30. The North Shore Senior Center Poetry Group has existed in one form or another since the center began in 1972. When the center moved to the current building in 1992, it was coordinated by John Platt. After his passing, Jane Cake assumed the function. She handed the duties off to me in 2013. The group has always been a round robin with 2 rounds. Judgment and criticism are discouraged, but helpful feedback arises when called for by the participant. Due to the nature of free verse, there is room for one's own ideas of what constitutes a poem. When a fellow poet chooses to use rhyme and meter, that is likewise openly accepted. The main drive of the group is encouragement. There are times when the attendance has fallen to just 2 or 3 people, but because we are in the catalog, we keep the door open for whoever might show up. We have as many as 20 regulars and are currently in 8, and today there's 5 of us here. Okay, the first poem that I'd like to read is called The Clearing, and it's from my book, Almost Forever. This is a quote from Richard D. Rowland. Nothing whispers peace as loudly as the sounds of nature. The clearing. It is a blank space in the forest where the sky shows through and the wind puts on its concert in the highest branches of the firs and hemlocks. It's always our destination, no matter our meanderings, over muddy, bike-scarred trails, even if we have to circle back to get to its welcoming openness. And today, the blue dominates, and an occasional cloud sailing past, blocking the sun, more of a relief from its blaze, a break that offers shade instead. This is the place where to pause is to arrive. Departure delayed to allow the wind's wistful tune to come to a conclusion only to be played out after our leaving. And the next poem I'd like to read is called Beachcombing Without You, and it's for my wife Shirley. This body atomic has been and will be combing the universe forever, and now I walk a beach of fine pebbles with only the waves offering cold comfort. It is the same with all the other lost and forgotten coasts that I have hiked, alone with the dog Star on his own solitary journey, and you, a galaxy away. The seeking of perfection in time-polished stones is as empty as space, and my cosmic amble down this starry strand without the clasp of one another has no meaning nor joy. If only I had your hand.
This is Kara McKenzie, Susy McKenzie. Last April was National Poetry Month, and I sat for a bit thinking about, well, what is poetry all about? Why is it so important? And this is what came out of that pondering. Poetry resonates soul deep, comforting, helping heal when lives come unhinged, offering the manna of life itself for those possessed spirits whose first thought in the morning to their last thought at night is endeavoring to create poetry so eloquently crafted. It can ease pain so severe that just to survive, the hurt must be displaced far enough to be able to breathe deeply enough, long enough for the healing to begin, before that healing becomes optional. When the agonizing ache cuts too close to the bone and each frail heartbeat whispers intent to claim lily stillness, when survival at that moment seems incomprehensible, no longer of consequence even, until a friend quotes from memory, or a book opens and a poem flutters off the page with butterfly grace, anointing with solace, hovering, healing. And the second poem I've chosen today is to honor a former poet laureate, Donald Hall, and his prize student, Jane Kenyon, and the life they shared together on Eagle Pond. I titled it Loss. An eternity would not have been time enough. Flawless peaches for breakfast, walking the dog in the birch wood, dinner by the light of silver candlesticks in the ancestral farmhouse, the idyllic, eloquent fusion of two poets, until her presence was severed from his, her life cut short, one malignant cell at a time, as she fought the cancer, knowing there could be only one outcome, that it would not be otherwise. Morphine and tears, the ink used to write those last poems. Little comfort to him now, a melancholy frost still clinging to every word, as 20 years thereafter he shuffles around the cold old farmhouse on Eagle Pond where she died, and time, like his clothes, hangs too loose. At dusk, the scent of white peonies still whispers her name, and sometimes, in the waning light, he hears her calling to him from the next room, until he remembers, like the amputee, that part of him is gone. Thank you.
I'm Eugene Marckx, and this poem comes from a part of me that happened when I was a very young boy. And I've written poems about this, and so it's a body of work, and this is one addition to a time that happened to me long ago and is still with me. Circling in. At the end, the loss comes circling in, and no one knows better than I, when in a slight air she held back at my beginning and on my birthday each year. Somehow thereafter fate was given an opening. In my family, the next one born, a boy like me, was struck down on his 49th day. So then for me, each day became a kind of shell game of who I am. Next one up from the one gone, of where I'll run and hide and not be here when death may come. All my birthdays, happy or not, all the work I've done or not, all my children come and gone, at the end, the loss comes circling in, asking when and how I may join and take my small shadow brother's hand. Will he still remain even now so lost or not? And this poem is one of those visions that poets have that come out directly out of nature from time to time. It's called A Visitation. What name to give such a small bird, flitting in and perching on my chair, drawing my attention into this intense moment? Words fall away like strings of grief stones from my neck, undone by this bird. My breath takes in a sudden air and hushed closeness, and I dissolve in a fit of childish glee so long buried I had given up the dream. Now I feel it flash in my ribs through coffin walls of past transgressions, to lift me in a tenuous kinship, embracing this intense moment. A wheel of fire that kindles joy, yet sears the old scars anew. From such a small bird, its eyes black beads that glimpse here, my own heartfelt apple within this intense moment. That glimpse within the apple seeds of fire, radiating out of my heart's own darkness to the stars.
I'm Mary Lee. I'm part of this same Northshore group of poets, and I'm a Montana girl, my beginnings. And I found that poetry is a story, well told in so many different ways. And I go back to my beginning. Family names. I grew up with the knowledge I could have been a boy named Sue. In 1943, a lot wasn't known about how the gender was determined before a child was born, a baby in the womb. My mom decided that 3 boys were more than enough. Insisted the baby growing in her belly this time was a girl. Everyone had to call the baby little Susy, somehow believing that that would make the difference. It worked. And when I was born, I was her precious little Susy. The family called me Susy. It was my name. However, before leaving the hospital, I was to be baptized, and Susy wasn't a family name or on a listing of saints' names. Another name had to be chosen, and I became Mary, named after my grandma, my aunt, and a saint. I had a lot to live up to. But the family still used the name they had given me in the womb, a name more fitting for me, a cute little baby. And the poet Charles Silverstein wrote a poem in the 1960s about a boy named Sue. Johnny Cash made the song popular. That could have been my beginning. That special girl, Mary, some things never changes. The first day of school, none of us had been able to sleep. All 4 of us jumped out of bed, raced to the outhouse, then raced to wash up, and raced to eat our oatmeal. We all put our new clothes on. Mom brushed out my beautiful curls, put the new hair ribbon in my hair that matched the new dress she had made for me. Then it was a mad dash for the door. My brother's helping me, the little sister. There's only 2 rooms in our school. There are 8 grades and 2 teachers. They take me to the lower classroom. I am a first grader. Teacher was very beautiful with bright red curly hair. She took roll call. Each person responded by raising their hand. Finally, it was the first graders' turns. There are 3 of us. 2 names are called, 2 hands are raised. And she calls out Mary. But there's no one here by that name. She never calls my name. At lunch, she comes over to visit with me. She asks, "What does your family call you at home?" "I am Susy." And she laughs and says, "Do you know, you have a name for school too. It is Mary. I am special. I have 2 names, Susy and Mary. Today my family still calls me Susy or Grandma Susy or Great Grandma Susy. Family names stick." And another one just about school. Setting a lifetime choice into place. The 4th grader was running fast, hoping to catch the 2 8th graders. They stood at the corner every day, just talking, before going their separate ways. They let the 4th grader listen in, and they were nice to her. She felt so important. She had to go to the bathroom so bad, but if she did, she might miss them. She decided she could wait. But they talked and laughed and laughed. Would they ever end? She couldn't just creep off. She waited, crossed her legs, and hoped it would end soon. Then she laughed with them hard, and the wet came right down into her boots. Oh no, she couldn't let them know. They might never let her listen in again. She looked down at her boots. They were steaming. But they didn't notice and kept on talking. Finally, the ordeal was over. They went on home, and she turned and ran for home, stopping only to dump out her boots and pack them with snow to clean them out. She knew if her 3 brothers found out, they would never let her live it down. She decided to make a better choice for the future and take time out to go to the bathroom.
Okay, I'm Al MacLachlan, and I belong to the poetry group at the Senior Center. And I'm going to read my poem, My Life, the Leaf. As I looked down, a small leaf among us called me out. Look at me, I have a jewel resting upon my colorful coat that once was green as could be. Look at you, I do. You are a pretty leaf, a sight to behold, that dazzles my eyes. The leaf replied, I do not care that the drop of dew rests on me, sending sunbeams that dazzle your eyes. Are you a beautiful leaf, concerned that the dew will be gone soon? So will you too? Oh, small leaf, are you worried that only a few will see what you showed me today? Now, small leaf, are you concerned that no one will know what you have done for the community of the tree? The tree stands above, so high next to us, far from you, soon to create new leaves like you, capturing the sun to feed its very soul. Your former community, today you are homeless. Does it worry you to be replaced upon the branches? Not me. I do not worry, quietly said the leaf. I may be small among the leaves, but within my heart, my beauty is in the life I lead. And my second poem is Frog Heaven. Once there was a happy frog croaking in a pond with lotus flowers. Lily paths were everywhere. Plates served a meal or two. The frog band was his sole life, morning before sunrise, feeding time by night. Croaking contests played throughout, the darkness to frog's delight. Water splashed now and again. Funny turn of events where two frogs landed on the same leaf. One day a bullfrog joined, unhappy was our frog. The competition fierce, he really didn't like it one bit. Off he went seeking another pond. A well instead was what he found. He fell from top to bottom, a deep, dark, and dank. He had it to himself, all he could eat. He missed his friends. Fun of competing was his amusement, of course, the band too. No one could hear his beautiful croak. The tempo echoed off the wall. Not the same, he noted. Our frog decided he would have to leave. Returned to the pond he lived before. Hopped up the wall, but fell back. Every hop of 4, he fell back too. Our frog regretted what he'd left so long ago. Wiser now he is today of knowing what he had was better than anything he would ever know. New friends he had to make him happy again. He had to reach out once again. Our frog was changed his tune with memories of his old friends, wrapped within him, although they are gone. He didn't think it bad at all to see the other side of what it is, understanding that what he had was best for him, appreciating and comparing what he had before.